Any further ado, welcome to the Buster Show.
Man, thank you for having me,
The
man.
first live recording since February of 2020.
Wow.
And we couldn't have a more beautiful place and view than this. There are like seaplanes flying in the background.
Beautiful.
Lethal Shooter, my man, thank you so much for doing this.
Thank you for having me.
So first things first, we're here at Red Bull 3-on-3. What kind of, it's not all pros here, what kind of skills have you seen at this event so far?
So far, I think it's good skills. I'm satisfied because I noticed that a lot of people know the rules, and that tells us that 3X is starting to get more normal in the households. Like when I first was going to 3X events, people were like confused. And if you notice now, people are starting to understand the concept. So I think Red Bull has done a good job of bringing more awareness to the game. And the talent that's out here, I think that, they're not on your level, but they're good.
Hey man, I appreciate it. I'll take all of it. I think the Olympics were huge for it as well.
It's huge.
Obviously the men didn't make it.
It happens.
Thought they should have.
Yeah.
But the women won.
Killed.
And I mean, the skill difference is like
Next level.
You've seen the memes. I mean,
Next level.
it's not comparable.
No.
That's been really fun. But I agree. I feel like this is closer to what we all played growing up than the NBA game is.
Absolutely.
So the relatability on that aspect is so big. I want to ask you this. You're the Lethal Shooter name.
Right.
Obviously, it comes from your passion for shooting. But
Right.
who came up with Lethal Shooter? Was that something you came up with in a late night brainstorm session? Where'd that come from?
So my dad used to always call me Lethal, but not Lethal Shooter. So my cousin actually gave me his iPod. You remember back in the day, you can have your iPod and download apps?
Yeah.
So that's when I started my Instagram. And I was like, what username can I have that's like for shooting, if that makes sense?
Right.
That nobody has. It's very unique, and the whole goal is the art of shooting.
Right.
And I was thinking, like when I was a kid, my dad used to always tell everybody my jump shot was lethal. And I said, Lethal Shooter. So I tried it, but in the beginning I was afraid because people was misconstruing that Lethal Shooter is like something else, not basketball.
Right.
But I stuck with my guns and I stayed positive with putting the message out that Lethal Shooter is basketball. And since then, it's a household name. It's basically like me and you. We both started off from scratch. Back in the day, me and you we would talk and stuff like that, and we stayed consistent, and now it paid off. And now the world knows who you are, and the world knows who I am. And my brand isn't related to shooting objects, but shooting a basketball. So that's how it came with Lethal
Man,
Shooter.
it's been so fun to watch you rise over the years because nothing has changed.
Nothing.
And that's the best part about it.
Yeah.
Everybody tries to change who they are to become successful.
Right.
And in reality, it's just doing the same thing if you believe in it over and over and over for years.
Right.
Can you speak at all to that in terms
Yeah,
of for people who are just getting started?
Consistency is key. Same thing with you. Like you didn't change anything. You kept going because you believed in yourself. As humans, we're always going to be down on ourselves when things don't go our way. But you can't put your head down and give up. And I feel like people like me and you are successful because every day we're consistent and we have a drive to get better. Like when I saw you at the Crew League, you're going. You see me at the Crew League, I'm going. I see you here, you're going, and we're never content. We're humble, and I feel like if you want to be successful, those are the remedies. You got to be consistent. You got to be humble. You can never be content. And if you feel that you did fail, don't put your head down. And I feel like with those, you'll always win in life.
Totally. Preaching. And I think a big part about that too is not comparing yourself to anybody else, because you don't have anything to do with anybody else.
Exactly.
Nor should you ever want to be anybody else ever, no matter who they are.
Exactly.
And that's a big thing too, where a lot of people can get caught up thinking that they should be doing something that they're not, but everybody's journey is different. Which is why, you can only take so much. Every piece of advice you have to take with a grain of salt, because your journey is going to be different than anybody else's, and it's never one win.
Exactly.
Like you win the lottery, that's not a thing, and nor should anybody aspire to win the lottery because that's too much dopamine in one day, and they all go crazy. But it's like these incremental little wins every day, and then the more of those you feel, the more you want to continue pushing,
Exactly.
but it's never about beating anybody or winning.
Exactly.
You know, unlike in basketball, often, you know, I've seen this from you. It's just about sticking to what you're doing. Like, you don't compare to any other trainers. You don't like it.
And the good thing about life, God has gifted you with something. God has gifted me with something. And if I look at your gift and try to compare myself to you, I'll get distracted with my gift. And I feel like, you know, some people, you know, they do that. You know, if they're doing something, they worry about the next person. But if you worry about yourself and stay focused, you know, the universe and your consistency will always pay off. But if I'm worried about you, how can I be focused on myself? I can use you as motivation. I can look at Buster and say, you know what? I'm inspired by the way he speaks. Maybe I try to speak like him sometimes. Or I'm inspired by the way he walks. But I can't watch you and envy that, or watch you and say, why not me? Because everybody has their time and everybody has their moment. It's just when that moment comes, you got to be ready to just take it and grasp it and show the world who you really are.
100%. These are some facts. I hope you guys are paying attention to what this man is saying. I want to ask you about shooting in particular. How much of shooting do you think is mental versus physical?
Yeah, I'm a huge fan that it's physical, but mental does play a huge aspect to it. If you take me to the bowling alley and I throw 10 gutter balls, and am I a bad bowler or is it mental? I don't know how to bowl.
Right.
I hate when people say, oh, this person can't shoot because it's mental. If somebody has a low shooting percentage, it's because the person can't shoot, if that makes sense. So, I'm not a huge fan of that. So I'm a huge fan of, if somebody can't shoot, let's figure out why they can't shoot. Because the mind does play a huge part, which you know. But that's a lot of people's excuses now, if you notice. Like, oh, that person can't shoot because it's mental. You get where I'm coming from? Like, if somebody can't shoot because it's mental.
He's on a cold streak. He won't ever hit a shot.
Exactly. Because if you play 15 games, Buster, right?
Right.
15 games, every game you miss all your shots. That's not mental. You can't shoot. But if you play 15 games, and in 15 games you show us signs,
right?
Like, whoa, one game he hit 5 threes, and one game he hit 2 threes, and one game he did this, and then you might have slumps. Then we can find out, okay, something else is there, if that makes sense.
So do you think that's what streaky shooters are?
Systems. Some systems can lead people to be streaky shooters. Some people in systems have to learn when to shoot, when not to shoot. That's what I do a good job with clients. I watch Synergy. I have a client on the Bucks that plays with Giannis. Giannis does different things. I have a client that plays with LeBron. LeBron does different things. And you have to teach them when you're going to get your shots, when you're not going to get your shots. So systems do play a huge part in being a streaky shooter if you don't study film. If you think you're just going to go out there and play with certain type of players that just get off, it doesn't work that way as a shooter. Because, you know, you have to pick your spots to shoot. And Danny Green's a good example. Last year with Ben Simmons and Joel, he did a good job getting to his spots. We understand that because we were watching film and understanding when to take the shots, when not to take the shots. And that's what leads, like you say, are you going to be a streaky shooter, you're going to be a consistent shooter. And that's why he's consistent last year, because it's little small stuff like that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So off of that, do you believe like heat checks are a real thing? You know?
I think the NBA can do a better job of that. You know, let's say like you're a superstar and I'm not the superstar. If I come out here 4 threes in the first quarter, but I'm not a superstar, damn, let me get the ball again. You know what I mean? But I feel like in the NBA now, you know, the superstars, they get to dominate the ball, which is nothing wrong with that. The fans aren't here to see Buster and Chris. They're here to see John. They're here to see LeBron. They're here to see those guys. So, but I do think the NBA back in the day, like with the Craig Hodges and the Steve Kerrs and the role players, they were getting heat checks. Remember, those guys were able to flare it up. And I think we should, NBA and in pros, we should go back to that, where it's like, you know, if somebody's hot, even if they're not the superstar, let's drain them until he misses. You know what I mean? It might be his night. You know what I mean?
That's super true.
Yeah.
Now, how does your advice, because you train NBA guys, and then everybody else asks you for advice on social media, how does your advice differ on just shooting? Because it's something that everybody does. It's not like dunking, where I can't do it, the NBA player can do it. Anybody can shoot a basketball. How does your advice differ for an NBA player versus me on the street in terms of how do I hit more shots?
Yeah. It's different levels. You know, if I was talking to a kid that's 5, talking to a kid that's 16, talking to a kid that's 20, and talking to a grown man that's 27, all different levels, you have to talk to them where they are. And I think I do a good job of explaining the art of shooting to different people on where they are in their life. So if somebody's advanced, I know I can speak to them advanced. And even if you're advanced, let's say you're an elite shooter, but you're not in the NBA, I can still talk to you like you're Kentavious Caldwell Pope. Let's say you're a subpar shooter, but you play pro. I know I have to break it down at an aspect that you might understand it because you're not an elite shooter.
Right.
Let's say the kid's 7 years old, but he's a good learner. I might talk to him the same way I talk to the NBA player because he can comprehend. So, you know, when you're teaching people, especially with muscle memory and art of shooting, you have to come to them where they are. You can't teach everybody the same way. I can't have 10 people and teach all of them the same way because everybody's not the same.
Right.
And I feel like I do a good job of meeting people where they are so they can understand. Not only do I make the right changes, but I meet them where they are mentally so they can understand my changes so it can turn into muscle memory and consistency.
That makes sense. Now, I want to ask you about your different types of rims.
Yeah.
So, you know, those who are listening, if you haven't seen it yet, this man has shot on, I mean, spinning rims, upside down rims, crate rims, spiked rims. What have your favorite rims been that you've shot them on, and how are these things coming to fruition? Are you building them yourself?
Yeah, no, I actually have a friend who's basically the best welder in the world, and during COVID, we were saying like, let's start putting this stuff out. You know what I mean? So I said, cool, perfect. Like, when I'm watching these guys, right, I'm watching all of this, but my brain is thinking about ideas. You know, when I was on the train coming here from New York, I was thinking about ideas. So my brain is always trying to figure out different things to take it to the next level. You know, and my favorite rim, what you said, I think my favorite rim was the spike. Yeah, because it was no joke.
How many basketballs did you destroy doing that?
I went through 2. But the scary part was going in, I didn't think a ball would like get stuck. So when that happened, I'm like, shit, I'm in a dilemma because I only have one more ball left. So I'm shooting the other one, but I'm so delicate, you know what I mean? And then what people don't know is the second one, I was done. I got all my clips, but I shot again trying to do like trick shots, but I was done. I got and it bust. So it was like, and I'm like, hurry up, let's get the clip, you know what I mean? And I got a crazy one after that, but people don't know the second one, the ball was deflating as I was doing the shot. Crazy. Yeah, but that first one, I was like, damn, like this rim is real. Like if you miss hard right, or miss hard left, or miss anywhere, your ball is gonna go flat.
Is there something you've ever wanted to do that you haven't yet in terms of shooting? Like, do you want to shoot in zero gravity? Like,
yeah, it's a lot of stuff that even Red Bull is helping me with because some of the stuff you need buttons.
You gotta do zero G with Red Bull.
Yeah, that's gonna be sick. It's gonna be sick, bro. So that's the one thing I like about this company. I'm a trainer. My brand is serious when it comes to my clients, but they respect that I like to think out of the box, and you know that's what Red Bull is all about. So the biggest thing is a lot of people are noticing now about me. I'm just not a trainer. I'm a creative person. You know, I like to do different things. I like to help youth.
I'm a motivational person. As seen here on this podcast.
Yeah, so that's why I respect this brand because I can be myself. You know, a lot of companies they'll sign you and you got to like straighten up. You know what I mean? Like with Red Bull, I can just be myself. So the ideas that they're gonna help me with, it's gonna be next level. Like we got some sick stuff coming out that should break the internet, and I respect them for always helping me fulfill these ideas.
I can't wait. I want to ask you about your creative process. Do you like to journal to come up with your ideas? Do you like to just talk with other people? What are the sorts of things that you need to be your most creative self?
Yeah, so I do have a journal. I write down all my ideas. Sometimes I sit up late at night, listen to certain type of music or watch inspirational stuff. I got inspired last week because I watched a story on how Dirty Dancing was made, and you know it basically like broke the box office. Like, but it was the story leading up to how they made the movie inspired me, how they put it all together. And when I watch stuff like that, or watch a story on like how somebody with so small budget made something so big, or somebody that didn't have nothing broke, you know what I mean? Like the story of like Jobs, that inspires me. So when I watch that, I write down all my ideas, and I say, okay, I'm gonna do this in December, I'm gonna do this in February. So that's how I get inspired. I watch other people who are doing great things, and when I'm watching them, I mean, it's like you. You know, people don't know when you first started. Everybody wasn't asking for you. You know, it was just you. You're just doing your thing.
Right.
Now you're like, shit, we need to have you on site, and it's like stuff like that inspires me because it pushes my brain to say, if you can do it, I can do it. And I might be up here, but mentally every day that I wake up, I reset my mind to still think I'm down here.
How do you do that?
I'm not satisfied. You get what I'm saying? I'm not satisfied until I'm like 50 years old or 60, and I say, you know what, Chris, you can take a break. You did what you're supposed to do. You know what I mean? Because every day that I feel like I might take a break, there's somebody else that might do something that I was supposed to do, if that makes sense. You get what I'm saying? Like, of course you need to rest, you need to sleep, but I like to always stay ahead of the curve.
Because, to that point, I feel like feeling successful is the most toxic thing
It's toxic
ever for anybody that wants to continue to be successful. Because it's not a permanent thing. It's not like you reach success and you're successful forever.
Yeah.
Literally everybody falls off at a certain point, except for
the elite.
who have what you're talking about, whereas you wake up every day and this is who I am, this is what I do, and you have to, I feel like, identify that grind and desire to get better.
I agree.
As a part of your personality.
Exactly.
Otherwise, like, and I don't own any sports cars or anything like that, but from friends who do, they always tell me they're used to it after like 5 days.
Yeah.
And then it's done.
Yeah.
And then you need that next thing to give you the dopamine hit.
Yeah.
And then that goes away after 10 days.
Yeah.
You need to continuously do it. And at a certain point, even Jeff Bezos doesn't work.
Yeah.
Doesn't work forever. So I feel like that's not to go, unnoticed how important that is.
You got
that we all try to have that.
It's built in you though.
Yeah.
If you don't have it,
you don't think?
Some people just don't have it. Some people are normal. Some people are used to just being, and there's nothing wrong with that. And I mean, but I don't want to be. I want to leave a legacy that when God decides to, say, this is your last day, I want people to always know, like, man, I want to be a true shooter, and that's the legacy I want to leave for them.
Yeah, man. Yeah. It's big time stuff. And to your point as well, it is whatever makes people happy. So it's that self-awareness that's so important.
Yeah.
But I've realized this from working out. I didn't used to work out every day, so I didn't know this.
Yeah.
But when I started working out, I was like, oh, I physically feel better.
Yeah.
And I think that doesn't matter who you are. Is applicable.
Yeah.
And I know that's something that Red Bull shares thoughts in, but dude, that's it. I mean, can you speak to that at all in terms of, the importance of physical activity for everybody of any age, and no matter who you are?
Physical activity is definitely stimulating, and it helps you expand your brain. Physical activity doesn't mean running, doesn't mean playing basketball, playing football. They say you burn more calories like playing chess because your brain's thinking. You know what I mean? So it's like physical activity is just making your brain move, make your brain think. Push your brain, make your brain uncomfortable. And when you do stuff like that, your brain will reward you and your body will reward you for things that you never thought you'd be able to do. And I feel like that's why, like I told you, I am who I am, because I do so much on the back end that people don't realize that stimulates my brain. And my brain feeds me what I want to be, coming up with ideas that people haven't thought of. Like, how come nobody's ever thought of the triangle or the square rim or the spike? Because their brain didn't comprehend it. There's certain people thinking of stuff that my brain didn't think of. But there's something that those people are doing to make their brain come up with these ideas. You get what I mean?
100%.
Yeah.
And I think it's such an important point too, that so people think, and for a lot of people this is true, but you work a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
For those who don't have a 9 to 5, it's very little work.
Yeah.
And all the work is in preparation for those 5 minutes. Like Floyd Mayweather, perfect example. Trains for 2 years before a big fight. Fights for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. It's all work.
Exactly.
So your prep, it's important. I mean, even for me, I know to personally classify my workouts as work because it positively affects all of the other work.
Exactly.
So it's important for everybody to realize that that is work too, to self-justify. Because maybe you've had this too in the past, where it's like you're doing something that isn't traditional work, and you're down on yourself because you're like, I should be working.
Right.
But it's important to have that like inner monologue where, oh, this is work because it's helping me for everything else I want to do.
I agree 100%. A lot of people have to understand as well, where it's like everything you do throughout the day affects your life. If you're doing something that you know that's not adding value to your life, but you still continue to do it every day, you chose to do that. And unfortunately, the way life is the same thing you were saying with Floyd Mayweather. If you use that time, right, to do nothing for an hour every day, and you did that for a year straight, that hour might add up to like, I don't want to be wrong, but like 365,000 hours that you didn't do shit.
Right.
And that's a lot of hours that you could have been using to be a better Tony or a better Bill or a better Will or Tony or whatever. And I feel like in today's society, the way it is set up, unfortunately, anybody can be anything they want now. You know what I mean? You don't need this diploma from Princeton or these things. And now you can do anything you want with your life if you're, like you say, if you're consistent and you stay focused. You know what I mean? Seriously, I agree with that.
The internet has opened up opportunities for anybody to connect with anyone. Social media aside, the internet has opened up the opportunity to connect to anyone in the world in a specific field.
Absolutely.
If you wanted to be the lethal shooter, our last episode was with a paleontologist.
Exactly.
If you want to be the lethal dinosaur, if you want to be lethal dinosaur, you go online at whatever age and connect with the top paleontologists and offer to intern for them for whatever they can give you.
Exactly.
And you learn that, and that's just the process. But I think again, and social media glamorizes it, and there's so many people who are fake on social media that wrongly glamorize the idea of overnight success and over year success and even over decade success.
That's why I always post those humbling posts once a month to let people know, shit, I didn't start off like this. Like you didn't start off like that, bro. I was on EBT. I didn't have money. I was homeless. I was all this stuff, but it molded me. I wasn't like one of those people where when stuff wasn't going my way and I kept getting injured playing pro, like, oh man, the world's against me. I'm never gonna. That's a weak mentality. You gotta have this like, okay, I got a setback. I'm going to go hard because I know with my consistency, nothing's going to stop me, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? So if you feel like you're in a crossroad right now and things aren't going your way, don't use that to beat yourself down. Use that time to write down your goals, stay consistent so you can look back on that and say, damn, I remember I was on my live and I only had 5 people. Now I'm on my live and I got 5,000 people. You know what I mean? And that's why I always post those things on my page to let people know. But nothing comes easy to anybody. You know what I mean? Well, some people, if you come from it, you know what I mean. But me, it's a lot of hard work, like with you. You know what I mean? Yeah.
100%, man. And writing it down is important too.
Yeah.
It's important because there have even been times I'm like, and I notice this. Maybe you notice this too. Like, for most people, it can often be on like a macro scale. Like when we were talking about wasting an hour every day.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll, waste a few hours in a week, and I'll look back and, that could have. It's motivating for the next time.
Instagram, I don't know if it's real. They said the average human takes 36 minutes of their life to eat hot dogs. You know what I'm saying? Stuff like it's small stuff like that. We laugh, but it's like, imagine how many hours in a year you sit in the car in traffic.
Oh my God, it's insane.
That's why when you're sitting in your car, if you're in an Uber, you can use that time to maybe meditate. Okay, if you're not going to meditate, use that time to call your mom. If you're not going to call your mom, use that time to do something because those times add up. And if you use those times and somebody else isn't using that time, you're always going to win.
Yeah, it's some of the best advice I've ever gotten. One of my mentors, his name's Dan Fleischman.
Yeah.
And he told me that 20 years ago he stopped driving cars, started taking taxis.
Yeah.
And in the last 5 years, he only takes Ubers.
Yeah.
And the accumulative time he saves, 2 hours every day, traffic to work, and everything, gets him like a month every year, or a week every year. It's like this additional time that you can't buy no matter how wealthy you are.
Right.
The closest thing to buying time is working out and being healthy and eating healthy, but you can't do anything beyond that. So if you're already doing that, that is literally the next best thing you can do, is start to pinpoint these things. Like, you know, similarly financially, you can pinpoint things that are wastes of money. You could do the same thing for time, right? Why am I driving to this park to go on a run when I can just run right by my house? I had that. Last summer, I used to drive 20 minutes each way to go for an hour run at the beach because I was like, I like the beach, it makes me happy, whatever. Screw that. I run to my house now. Saves 40 minutes a day. 40 minutes a day. It's insane. So it's like, it's those little things that I feel like, you know, are, sometimes it kind of sucks, you know, but it's underrated. It's underrated.
But the thing is, you understand that, and I want other people to understand that as well. Like, if you start doing that with your life, results will. There's no way results won't show.
There's no
It's
way.
gonna show. Absolutely.
Yeah, and then working out those like 20 minutes extra because you save 40, like, dude, all that stuff. How do you push yourself in workouts? What do you tell yourself to keep going in those sorts of things?
I have to like listen to certain stuff that stimulates me and puts me in a place where it reminds me, certain songs that play, you know what I mean? It puts me in a place that it reminds me of where I came from. It reminds me, like I told you, how I reset my brain to think certain things, even if it's not that, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? And it makes me push.
You trick yourself.
Yeah, exactly. So I'll put certain things in my head that's not there. Like, it used to be times that I didn't have money to eat. I might be working out and I think about those times and think like, maybe right now, like, I don't have it. Let me push. You know what I'm talking about?
100%.
Like you say, like, when you think you've reached that level, you can slack a little bit. And you can't do that where me and you are trying to be.
Like 99% of people do too.
Exactly. You want everybody in the world to know you're the best broadcaster. You're the best in the world. You can't do that by chilling, bro. I can't be the best trainer in the world by chilling. So we have to keep putting ourselves at that low point mentally to push harder, if that makes sense.
And then the other thing too, what's so important, we haven't even spoken about this yet, who you surround yourself with.
Oh, that's huge.
It's, I mean, jealousy, as unfortunate as it is one of the most common diseases in human history, right? So how do you sort of pick and select who's around you based on, because motivation, like this conversation, we're both going to walk away super motivated because that's the energy. But I've had those conversations where you walk away and just drained. You just walk away feeling like you just worked out, but you didn't. You got nothing got taken from you. So how are you selective in your circles as to, you know, evaluating those things?
Yeah, I'm very selective. The energy that you have around you, the vibes that you have around you can. So let's say like you're one of my friends, right? And I'm like, bro, I got an idea. Like, I think this idea can change the world. And then you go, what is it? And I tell you, you're like, oh, okay, that's all right. That's draining. But if you have somebody around you,
and
like,
it could even stop you from doing it.
Exactly.
That's the scariest stuff of all.
Exactly. And then you have somebody around you where they're like, and I tell you the idea, you're like, what? What can I do to help? Or blah, blah, blah. Or you have friends around you, all they want to do is party. All they want to do is smoke and drink. Those aren't friends, bro. So you got to make sure you have people around you that are trying to push themselves in life. And remember, like me, you say, push yourself doesn't mean that you're the billionaire. Push yourself doesn't mean you're at the top. Push yourself just means that
you're happy.
You're good. Yeah, you're good energy to me. I'm pushing you. You're pushing me. You're a good friend. And when you have those type of people around your life, they're never going to allow you to settle. They're never going to allow you to settle. You know what I mean? So that's very important. You hit on the nose with that.
Dude, it's all about, and motivation leads to more motivation and leads to good vibes. Even if you're, like, let's say you're super young, you're 17, you haven't done anything yet, you haven't even had the time to accomplish anything yet, and you have friends who are, you know, 30, 40, have accomplished everything you want to. Your good vibes will bring you everything that you want. And that's the craziest part of all.
It's real, man.
It's so
energy,
real.
vibes, having the right people around you.
It's the most valuable currency.
That's the money. That's the real money. You know what I'm saying? And having friends around you that, like, let's say like one day you get like 200,000 viewers on your IG lives. Right? I'm that friend where you're like, Chris, I got 200,000 viewers on my live. I'm like, bro, good shit, bro. I'm proud of you. I always knew you could do it. Let's do it again. You get where I'm coming from? Like, what can we do it again? Like, let's come up with something more creative to get 300,000. That's the type of friend I am. You get what I'm saying? So you always want to make sure you have those friends that's pushing you and always on you and is loving. You know what I mean? Like you say, like you don't want to be around nobody draining and negative and always talking about people. And when they're around people, all they do
I don't
is
care about people. Neither do you.
exactly.
What are people? You don't even know.
Yeah, exactly. I don't look at other trainers. I don't look at basically other people in my field and compare myself. I look at what God's doing for me. I will go to other trainers' pages to always support. I always double tap and comment on other trainers'
Double
pages.
tap?
Yeah, to show them love. You hear where I'm coming from? But I'm not looking at him like, oh, how come he's this or how come he's that? Because he's not me. And I'm not him. And that's what makes
Nor should either of you want to be.
And that's why God made us all like this. That's why you don't look like me, and he doesn't look like you. He made us all unique with different handprints. You know what I mean? Yep.
All humans are different crypto punks.
Yep. Nah, real talk. Yeah.
Yeah, no, all of that is, it's so key, man. The world would be such a good place if everybody were thinking like that.
Yeah.
And everybody were motivating each other and feeling better. I feel like generally everybody would be more successful too. Or let's say there was a country somewhere in the world where every single person was taught, you know, kindness and humility and motivation in school. Bro, imagine if motivation was a class in school.
Well, I feel like we can do better with that in our curriculums. You know, we gotta make sure, and this is why I feel like teachers should get paid more. Firefighters should get paid more. Certain people in those type of fields, like, if teachers got paid more, I'm not saying they're not, but it would motivate them to even push a little bit harder. And I feel like the children are the future. That's why my brand is based around youth. If you see my lives, all of my lives, I'm telling people to, you know, move in your purpose. Don't do drugs. Be inspiring. So, like small things like that. And if the school system had that in there, we would be teaching kids at a young age, like you're saying, to have those type of morals, and we can spread that type of knowledge in like 5 years, bro, 10 years, if it's based on the curriculum. You get where I'm coming from?
Here's a crazy thought. I've never even thought of this before, but teachers should be incentivized. My idea for this, let's say you go through high school.
Yeah.
Let's say, like, I didn't go to college, but let's say you go through high school and you get to pick 1 or 2 teachers after that a very small percentage of your tax dollars then go to as an incentive bonus for the first 30, let's say 0.00001%.
Yeah.
If 50 people do that for each teacher, they could be getting an extra $50,000, $200,000 a year incentivized on their performance.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. You might not want to put that on your stuff.
No, I want them to do it.
Yeah.
It would be good for everybody.
That's a great idea. Teachers definitely need raises for sure.
You know, the same way that it would be like the venture capitalizing teachers.
Yeah, real talk, man.
It's not a bad idea.
They need it, man.
I mean,
they deserve it. Yeah.
100%. Last question for you. What would your best advice be for somebody who's just graduating high school now, knows what they want to do, has their passion? Let's do both, has their passion and doesn't have their passion. What's your best advice for those people?
Somebody who does have it and doesn't. Basically, if you have it, you get in front of a whiteboard, write down all your goals you see you want for your life. Pick one of them that is doable for right now. Like, not the biggest one, but pick the one that's like, I can do that right now. And every single day, you pick small things to do towards that goal. And then once that goal is done, and you're the best, you pick another goal. And I think a lot of people mess up because when they start with goals, if something doesn't go right here, they try to go after another goal. If that doesn't work, they go after another. Then you look up in 5 years, damn, I didn't do none of my goals.
Right.
So once you're done one goal and it's successful, go to the next goal. I mean, that's what I do. You get where I'm coming from? If you feel like you're not inspired, that means you need to change, like you say, change the people around you. Maybe watch videos on something you saw yourself wanting to do when you were younger and watch somebody who's the best of the best in that field and see if that inspires you. Then if that doesn't inspire you, that means maybe that's not what you wanted to do. Watch something else, and then you watch that to see what you really want to do. That's what I do myself, like I told you. Like I'll watch Tiger Woods. I'll watch Tiger Woods, bro, and get a drive. Because it's like, he's like looking at that
Excellence.
hole. Bro, it's excellence. And it's like, if you can't watch certain people who are the best of the best and get inspired, something's wrong. Something's wrong.
That's a fact.
Yeah.
Well, I'm inspired by you, man.
And I'm inspired by you. Keep
Thank
up the
you
great
so
work,
much
bro.
for doing this.
Yeah, thank you so much, man.
Lethal Shooter on the
Thank you.
Buster Show.
Yeah.
We'll see you guys next time.
Peace.
Awesome.